Greetings fellow viewers, I'm so glad to see you again. As mentioned in my previous video, I figured out how to make somewhat proper scans of my 35mm films in my collection. After that video released, you probably wondered how I managed to make it all possible. Well, sit back and grab some popcorn, because I'm gonna show you how it's all done. First off, some context. As you may know, many professional 35mm scanners are very difficult to obtain. They either are way too big, exclusive to movie studios, hard to find, or for the most part, incredibly expensive. They all vary in price, but it sadly seems to be a common theme. Luckily for us hobbyists, cheaper options are available. While these ones are more geared towards restoring photography film, nothing is stopping us for doing the same for motion picture film. The model I have right now is the Wolverine F2D Mighty. It's a bit small but does a pretty good job at capturing the frames at a phenomenal quality.
Hey, you don't have a Stegosaurus, man.
The adapter I'm using for the scans is the negative adapter, as it is the perfect size for those reels. I grab my appropriate reels and then turn on the scanner. One important thing is to not choose 135 as it actually crops out the sprockets. We need the sprockets visible for reference. The one I choose is 127 VPK. That would help you get started. Before we do though, make sure your frame is centered. This will be important for stabilization and will be addressed later. For now though, if needed assistance, you can place a sticky note on the screen where the edge of the frame is placed. You can add a second one to the other end if you wish. It doesn't always help completely stabilize the image, but it does give you a better frame of reference. For now though, time to scan. This section is very time consuming. Every frame needs to be captured correctly and done very slowly. If done incorrectly, it'll leave your frame a huge blurry mess and it'll be quite noticeable when compiling it all together. However, once you know what you're doing, it'll all be worth it. Oh, and make sure you actually have a container to hold your film. Don't be like me. Once you have your frames saved onto an SD card, plug that sucker into the computer and transfer them over. Save them onto a designated spot and check your frames for a quick preview. If your frames look stabilized enough, then you can skip this next step. If not, then this next part will be focusing on editing. If you leave your frames unstabilized without proper editing, then the results could leave your picture sporadically jumpy and making the audio robotically warble. To prevent this, here's what you'll do. Open up your preferred photo editor of choice and go through every frame by editing up the positions of the first frame you have scanned and syncing them all together in a much more steady pace. This one might also take long depending on the scan, but thankfully it's not as long as the scanning process itself. Once you have that all done, the rest will be a cakewalk. Open up Blender and go to the movie clip section. Import your frames and go to the last frame and match the endpoint together. Next, go to the nodes and drop all of your frames into an image sequence. Add a transform node in case, if needed, to do render resizing, or in the case of your scan, rotating it to a nice -90 degrees. The last thing we need to do in Blender before rendering all of your frames is to change the image format to a DPX format and save it into a designated folder. Once you have rendered it all out, we can then move on to Lite. It is a free software on GitHub that lets you extract the audio from the film into a digital audio format. Open up your DPX file and then adjust the settings to your liking. You can test the new sample feature to give a preview of how the audio sounds. Once you have it all done, you can export onto a WAV or also an MP4 format for safekeeping. Congratulations! You've made a complete scan! I'll admit it for myself, this setup isn't perfect at the slightest. However, I'm always open to hear feedback from all of you. If there's something in my setup that needs to be changed or upgraded for better results, please let me know down in the comments. I know there's better devices that will help make the scanning much more easier, I just haven't gotten into those yet. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope this guide helps give an idea of what I've gone through to get those scans done. See you all next time!